Today we're off to...
on the Hovercraft experience.
And I just came out the shower, so I'm already wet. It's gonna be a splashing time. What do you think? Woo! Whoop, whoop.
Apologise for the weather, but I can apologise for you've had a few changes to your itinerary today, and I'm really sorry. I don't know whether you've been advised. Late last night we had one of our craft needed some urgent work. We've got two. We normally have one, and then there's one reserved for these kind of these special trips, and it's over on the blocks over there at the moment. We have to put it up and do some work. We did speak to Chalkwell, but of course it was so late. They were incredibly helpful to try and change the itinerary for the day. And then on top of that, I think we also then inconvenienced you because we had an NHS transfer, which then delays. I don't know whether you're aware, with us living on the island, if you had a cardiac arrest or needed some very urgent appointment, they call us. You have to get off the island. We're what we call a rapid off-service island transfer. We only generally get 3 or 4 a week, and of course, you know, I know.
I was going to say, yeah.
But what I was going to say, no, we have actually had nearly 7 to 8 maybe a week, and these are poor souls who are having a cardiac arrest. This morning, sadly, that came at exactly the same time as your group. On our revised times with Chalkwell. So I'm really sorry. You had some bad luck this morning. We never get information. All I can say to you is 99.99% of them all go off and have their stents. And I don't know whether any of you have been involved in that situation before, but speed is of the essence, and that's where the hovercraft comes into it. We've only been doing it since COVID, because when we were on an island at COVID time, you couldn't get off the island. Ferries went to every 3 hours. Helicopters weren't readily available. So if you were having a cardiac arrest, actually that's when we stepped in, and we continue to do that. So apologies on 2 levels. Well, maybe 3 for the weather. Yeah, because it's normally a bit better. But what I wanted to do as well is just say, I've been speaking to Chalkwell. Chalkwell have been incredibly accommodating with these changes. It doesn't go normally like this. We're getting the hovercraft ready for you now. So this is the part where you start learning a bit about the hovercraft. Okay. We've actually today, I've pulled him off his craft. You see, it's out there, Ben, is it?
Yeah, just there.
Okay. So Ben, actually, our captain who flies the hovercraft, is always going to join you, who is also going to do the tour. Ben's also a captain of the hovercraft, but he also builds them. So he's from our manufacturing world. So the one you've got out there, I keep calling it a little one. It's not little, is it? It's a hovercraft. Medium size. But Ben's going to give you a quick run through of how the hovercraft works, what you do, and then he'll say cheerio to you and put you on the hovercraft, where the captain will go out and, shall we say, do some manoeuvres. So the journey you had today isn't the journey you're going to have going back. Okay, so I don't know how your lunch has gone down. Right? No, on a serious note, the hovercraft goes above the sea, so it'll be okay. But it's not a straightforward journey. So this type of trip that Chalkwell arranged with us is exactly to show off what the hovercraft does and demonstrate it. So I really hope that as we send you back to Kent further on, that we say cheerio, but you do come back. And apologies again this morning. I hope this afternoon you enjoy it. So Ben, can I hand over to you? Yeah. I think as we get the hovercraft ready, if you can just get back around to the hovercraft and get them all.
We'll move outside.
Yeah, we'll move outside to you. All right? Okay. That's all right, guys.
We'll try and squeeze out that way. So, very good afternoon to you all. As Neil said, my name's Ben Avery. I work for Griffin Hoverwork, which is the manufacturer. I'm the chief pilot for Griffin. We do all the new builds, trials, testing, training. Most of our new build craft are built for customers overseas. We've got 2 or 3 customers in the UK, one of which is our sister company, which is Hovercraft, which is why I come across here and do some work here occasionally as well. The RLNI is also a user of Hovercraft in the UK. Able Fire Rescue is another one of our customers. So there's still Hovercraft being used around this part of the world. Like I said, most of our customers are overseas. So we've got customers in Peru, Colombia, India, Canada, New Zealand, Pakistan, in the Middle East, so lots of uses for hovercraft. One of our most recent customers is also Japan. They're starting up a new ferry service out there in October, and that's which is very exciting because at the moment the only year-round scheduled service is this one. So to see another year-round scheduled service coming into the world is absolutely fantastic. It means that hovercraft is starting to become more attractive to people to use. I don't know if you remember the craft of what we might call yesteryear, craft that used to operate from here and going across the channel to Dover. Big gas turbine craft using aircraft engines, great big propellers, very noisy, very expensive to run. Newer craft are using industrial diesel engines, ducted propellers. You might not think it, but these craft are incredibly quiet compared to their predecessors. They're a lot more efficient. So the craft that these two craft have replaced, the previous generation, they used 4 engines to carry 90 passengers. These craft now use 2 engines to carry 80 passengers, or there or thereabouts, 78 passengers. So that's how much technology has moved on. The concept of the hovercraft, as most people know, the inventor of the hovercraft, anybody? Christopher Cockerell, yes, Christopher Cockerell back in 1950s patented the air cushion vehicle as a concept. Interestingly though, people have been experimenting with that technology for quite a few decades beforehand. So if you go back to the 1930s, the Russians, aerodynamicist Vladimir Levkov, who had already developed a vessel which would hover up and was propelled by an air screw and was amphibious, but the technology was just never developed. And if you go right back to the very late 1800s, John Thornycroft, who later founded part of what's now Vosper Thornycroft, and they started experimenting with ways to make boats more efficient. So when a boat travels through the water, you get a lot of drag on the hull. It makes the boat go quite slowly unless you use a lot of power to push it. So what Vosper, or Mr. Thornycroft, looked at originally, he made a hull with a chamber underneath it, and they used bellows to pump air in underneath the hull, and the air lubricated the hull and made it travel through the water a bit quicker and more efficiently. But that technology was just never exploited properly. So you look at some different developments through time, but it was Christopher Cockerell, a very prolific inventor and engineer in his own right. He worked for Marconi in the war, helping to develop radar. He had over 100 patents to his name by the time he died. But probably the most famous one he's known for is the hovercraft. And the word hovercraft, developed this machine, didn't know what to call it, and it was his wife, Margaret, who came up with the name hovercraft. And that's because technically it's called the air cushion. We all know it as the hovercraft, and that's what the invention was. So the way that the hovercraft works, we've got a big engine in the back, or in this case on the 12,000 TD we've got 2 big engines in the back, about 1,000 horsepower each. We'll go and have a look at those in a minute. That engine splits the power between a lift fan, which makes it hover, and a propeller, which pushes it along. So which thing do you think might use more power, the lift fan or the propeller? Propeller. Yeah, so the lift, once you actually get the craft lifting up, all you're doing is topping the air up. So it's only about 1/3 of the power is used to lift the hovercraft up, and then it's 2/3 to push it along. They're surprisingly efficient. People think they use a lot of power. They really don't. So I'm just going to see if we can go out and have a look at the craft. And we'll go around and I'll point out all the various bits, and you're very welcome to ask me questions while we go around and have a look next.
In a couple of minutes we're going to take you out. Mia, by the way, I think some of you met at the back, is going to join you across the South Sea. I've got to stay on this side, unfortunately, for a meeting, so we just wanted to make sure we can get you on your way. So if you want to come out, you can take some photos, and then we'll get you on the craft, and we'll take you on a different journey across the South Sea. John, you just reserved the 2 seats at the front for me on that side. I've got a gentleman called Lee. Yeah. It is.
Email from Hannes from Checkley. Checkley, kickstart your synthetic monitoring at our webinar July 18th.
What? Why don't we switch? You take that one, and I'll take Dad. Yeah, through my camera.
Oh. Oh, I click every now and then.
You gotta go click. Camera's not in the sound anymore. That's recording wherever you go. You want zoom out lens, zoom in lens, really zoom. That'll help, and that will take photos. Oh, perfect. Take that when you're doing that. That's your photos as well. Is that useful? Yep. Try to keep it pointed at the guy who is ever talking and the hovercraft.
Yeah, I don't know whether
When you move, always move slowly, not quickly. Otherwise, when you got a camera bit, you suddenly gibbet.
I'm going to hand you over now, Lee. So, nice to meet you. Enjoy your trip home. All right? And I'll be in touch. You're in. Those of you who want to use the steps, you're very welcome to. Have a good time. See you later.
Hover travel. It's the 5th or 6th variant of hovercraft that Hover Travel have used. They've been operating on this route since 1965 as the world's longest running operator, longest continuous running operator. 12,000 TD, that's 7 years old now. So it's, and it's still very heavily used, still a very popular service, used by commuters. We also do the Royal Mail as well, NHS patient transfers, so it's a very versatile craft. And obviously we can do a lot more crossings per hour than the conventional fast catamaran, which has to go to the end of a pier, and then you have to travel down the pier as well. So,
without shutting down its engine. From these early experimental services, the main partners of Hover Transport set up Hover Travel for a silent operation. The choice of craft was to be the new SRN-6, a 38-seat vessel from Westland. The Queen and Princess Margaret visited the brand new craft in 1965 at the British Hovercraft Corporation factory, and by 24th of July, the craft had entered service. Tickets costing 4 shillings and threepence were sold at the terminal serving Gosford, Southsea and Ryde. Initially no timetable was used, as the service was operated on a demand basis only. Businessmen, school children, tourists alike soon set the demand and a structured timetable was to follow. The service was a success from the start. Gosport was used for refueling up until 1967 when Ryde Terminal took over. The hovercraft had now become a realistic venture, and the company had made its first profit of £4,000 by December 1966. The 38 passengers would board through a bow door for the 7-minute crossing. The SRN-6 could cruise at 60 miles per hour and cross the Solent in under 7 minutes. Initially, with only one craft and one captain, for 77 crossings per day could be made. Within 3 years, Hover Travel had carried 1 million passengers. single Rolls-Royce gas turbine engine was used to power the craft, which could carry passengers 4 feet above the surface of the water. The engine would drive an aircraft propeller and a lift fan to provide air to the skirt. Hover travel initially ran a summer and winter service, but took a pause during the winter of 1968 to start charter operations and begin refurbishment of its first SRN-6, which had now accumulated 5,000 hours. An experimental service to Sandown was tried in 1966, when a second craft was delivered, but it soon became apparent that the best traffic was between Ryde and Southsea, which is the route that remains today. Within 2 years,
manoeuvrability is because of the sheer amount of traffic we have to deal with in the Solentarium. So large ships coming into Southampton and also Malta. We just currently have a container ship coming into Southampton, so we'll see that shortly on the left-hand side.
your safety and the safety of others, that you please remain seated until the hovercraft is landed and the doors have been. For those with on-the travel requirements, you will see the hoverbus stop just outside the terminal, and coaches, including National Express, can be found directly opposite. For more information, please speak to a member of our team. We would like to thank you for travelling with Hovertravel and wish you a safe and pleasant onward journey.
You got this. If you are your guide.
Is it okay?
What is it?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I am. I don't need a 5-star hotel. I would rather spend the money going out on shows and doing things. I do like a comfortable hotel, but to me the only part of the time to go sweatsuits where it's much younger. It's right now we have the younger stage, typically dark till 10 o'clock. Now is a good time here to take a look. Thank you.
So it just shows you some of the manoeuvrability that the craft can do and some of the sights that we get to see out on the solar every day. One of the questions sometimes we get asked is, do we ever get bored just going backwards and forwards? The answer is no, never, because there's always something different to see. There's always different weather when we're out on the water. And yeah, you never stop learning to drive a hovercraft. It doesn't matter how many years or hours of experience you've got driving them. So yeah, it definitely keeps you on your toes, and it's something quite interesting. The way that we drive the craft, we've got two methods of steering. There's a rudder bar, so some pilots choose to steer with their feet, a bit like an aircraft. Some pilots prefer to use the joystick. We've got two engine control levers, that makes the hovercraft hover and the propellers spin. And then we've got two propeller pitch levers, and we can put the propellers into forward pitch or reverse pitch, and that's what makes us obviously move. I think as Peter said, we hover about 1.5 metres above the surface. The craft actually lifts up that high, there's that much air on the craft. In terms of air pressure underneath, almost nothing. We've done tests where we put eggs on the beach in a 45-ton hovercraft and pass over an egg and knock it out. There's less than 1 psi of pressure inside the skirt. I think your car tyre is probably about 40 or 50 psi. We've got virtually nothing. It's just ever so slightly higher than atmospheric, and that lifts the craft up. Any other questions? What license do you need? So we've got marine licenses, so generally we do a merchant making deck ship, and then we do a hovercraft specific driver's course as well, which is called a type rating, and that's something which is required by authorities for doing passenger commercial. Well, there's no more questions. I think that's thank you all very, very much indeed for your time today. Thank you.
an eventful day, so I do apologise if things weren't to planned as they should have been. So we'll head back now to drop you guys off. I'd like to say thank you for joining us today and hope to see you again soon. So we're just going to do a couple of donuts around the bus station before we go. So everyone hold tight and enjoy your ride. See you all soon.
Use the second lane from left to continue onto M27 toward Portsmouth. Continue. Use the left lane to keep left onto M275 toward Portsmouth. Keep left. In 1.7 miles, take exit 2 toward North End and cruise and cross Channel ferries. Take exit 2 toward North End and cruise and cross Channel ferries. Then at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Kingston Crescent toward North End. At the roundabout, take the second exit onto Kingston Crescent toward North End. Then turn right onto Kingston Road. At the next light, at the roundabout, take the second exit. At the roundabout, take the second exit onto Commercial Road toward Seafront. go past this light. Then at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Market Way towards Seafront. At the roundabout, take the second exit. At the roundabout, take the second exit onto Market Way towards station. In half a mile, turn right onto Hampshire Terrace. Stay in the left lane. At the light, use the right two lanes to turn onto Hampshire Terrace.
You have an email.
Stay in the left lane. In a quarter mile, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto King's Terrace. At the roundabout, take the second exit onto King's Terrace. Go past this light, then at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Pier Road. At the roundabout, take the second exit. At the roundabout, take the first exit onto Clarence Esplanade, then turn right. Turn right onto Clarence Esplanade, then the destination is on your left.